Hi everyone, welcome back to my vlog. I'm Robin, or Hobby Reading List. I did start listening to an audiobook on Sunday called You Are So Not Invited to My Bat Mitzvah. Also, I started it the day after I finished The Count of Monte Cristo, which also makes it a wild tone shift. But it is a young adult novel. We're following Stacy as she's preparing for her bat mitzvah. And she wants things to go well. She wants an awesome dress. She wants all her friends there. She wants her crush there. And leading up to her bat mitzvah, things start going wrong. Her mom buys her like a really bad dress. Her best friend like kisses her crush, and Stacy sees it and says like, you're not invited to my bat mitzvah. Which is fair. And then like the popular girls like take her best friend's side, which makes Stacey feel like she only really has one friend. Oh, and her parents are getting divorced. So like there's just like a lot going on. But I'm enjoying it for the most part. Like I can definitely empathize with Stacey when like these sorts of situations feel like they're like just all consuming. They're the worst things that could possibly happen to you. But I have like an hour left, so I'll finish it today. So I will talk more about it later on. But yeah, so, okay. I'm going to end here, and I will check in with probably tomorrow because I'll have finished You Are So Not Invited to My Bat Mitzvah. I have new hair. We went very like pastel, and just we started comparing it to like a bowl of sherbet. That's kind of what it reminds us of. I let my stylist just kind of do whatever she wanted because we've done most colors. And spring is pretty much the only season where I don't have a theme that I do with my hair. Like during the summer I have a rainbow, and then fall I have more autumnal colors. That's probably my most natural looking time period. And then for winter I typically do some sort of blue. So spring is the only time where I'm just like, yeah, whatever we want. So I let her pick, and I think she did really well. I really like it. I left the salon and immediately got compliments. So yay. It's gonna be kind of a quick update. Yesterday was kind of yesterday was kind of a rough day. I found out that a friend of mine who I'd kind of fallen out of touch with, but was a very good friend of mine, passed away very suddenly. And I'm not going to go into it because it's not my story to tell, and there were other people involved that were harmed and are recovering. And so yeah, so I found that out yesterday. So I pretty much just spent the day just with my support system, pretty much. Like I found out, and I was talking with a person who told me, and we were sort of comforting each other. And then I went to personal training. My trainer was really great. The thing about me is that like it's on my face, right? Like it's on my face that something has happened, that I'm not in a good place. So as soon as anyone saw me, they're like, what happened? Are you okay? I was just like, well, even if I wanted to like pretend, I can't. But then I went and got my hair done, and my stylist was really great. And I went and got coffee. Well, we were supposed to get coffee with Stephanie, but the coffee shop we went to is very tiny. There was no tables available, so we went and got pizza instead next door. Stephanie's really great. And then and then like my writing date with Ellis, also very great. Like it was just a series of me like bouncing around my friends for comfort. So that was helpful. I also finished listening to the audiobook for You Are So Not Invited to My Bat Mitzvah. I really liked how it ended. I thought it made a lot of sense. I could see where it was going, but I'm glad it went where I wanted it to. So I gave that 4 stars. I probably won't reread it, but because it's not necessarily for me, but I think it was well done for its intended audience. So and then I was gonna start an audiobook Wednesday night, but I just wasn't in the place. And also, I'm kind of avoiding it. I think I mentioned this in my TBR video of, like, it's Bukowski. It's More Notes of a Dirty Old Man, which is, like, his weekly articles. And I was talking to my friend Ellis last night, and I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of avoiding it. And they're just like, you should. Because we both kind of agreed, like, yes, I went through a Bukowski phase, like, in my early 20s, which I think is when you're supposed to go through a Bukowski phase. But now I'm in my mid-30s, and I think I've outgrown it. So I may come back to it this month. I may land on it again, but in talking to Ellis, they're like, look, you've been through a really hard day. Like, the last thing you need is to subject yourself to Bukowski. So, I like went through all the audiobooks on my TBR, and one of them is Wicked Beauty, which is the third book in the Dark Olympus series, which I actually realized, like, I knew this, but I wasn't necessarily thinking about it until I was talking about it with my friend Ellis. The Dark Olympus series was actually recommended to me by the group of friends that my friend who passed away is part of. And so I think that, obviously I don't know, I think it's nice to sort of just lean into that, like, that memory of, like, oh, we had, like, conversations about this. Like, we wrote, like, role play about, like, set in this universe. So yeah, so I'm going to read Wicked Beauty, which is, like I said, part of the Dark Olympus series, and I'll talk more about it once I actually start it, but I have to go to work. So that is the update, and yeah, I'm just gonna start the audiobook and just get processing, so. So what I've decided to do, there may have been some mentions of Les Mis earlier in this vlog, without going into too much detail, and that's because I've decided to have this be an audiobook only vlog to give me a little bit more wiggle room with Les Mis, because unfortunately my dad was probably correct that 2 weeks was a little too ambitious to read 1,200 pages. So there's that. So I'm going to talk about my audiobook first so that I can edit the rest of this out and put it in the Les Mis vlog. So I had mentioned that I was going to start Wicked Beauty because I needed something just, like, a little bit more just, like, fun. And also I'm avoiding Bukowski, and it has that connection with the friend of mine that passed away. So I listened to it on Friday. I listened like 40% on Friday because I got out of work a little bit later than usual, and so I got stuck in rush hour. It took me 2.5 hours to get home. And then I went to work Sunday, and that was fine. And then I actually drove to Chicago last night for a book club meeting, and I finished Wicked Beauty. So Wicked Beauty is the third book in the Dark Olympus series, and it's interesting because, like, while it is, I would say, loosely inspired by Greek mythology, outside, like, the names and, like, the very bare bones of the stories, it's really its own thing. Like, Olympus in this context, it's modern day, and Olympus is this, like, society that is, like, set apart from everything else. There's, like, literally a barrier keeping them separate. And the actual, like, there's Olympus, and then there's, like, suburbs, essentially, that are all part of this society. And within the Olympus, it's very, like, power hungry. There's a lot of, like, manipulations. Like, you can't really, like, trust a lot of people there. Wicked Beauty is following Helen, who is the sister of the new Zeus, who is actually Perseus, which, that makes sense. But but Helen is, of course, the most beautiful woman in Olympus, and there is going to be a competition to see who will be the new Ares after the old woman passed away. And Helen, without knowledge of herself, is put up as like the prize of like, there's this competition that people can enter, anyone can enter to be the next Aries, and the next Aries will marry Helen. And she did not know that that was part of it. So she's understandably upset, but she was already planning on entering the competition as Aries anyway, as a way to have her own agency. As one of the 13, she has more power than if she's just the sister of Zeus. And mainly she just wants power over her own life instead of being a pawn. So she competes, and during this competition, everyone who is competing is like pulled away. They're put in this place, except for in trials, and it only takes like a week because there are only 3 trials and they're every other day. But a lot happens. She ends up becoming very close to Achilles and Patroclus, who are in an open relationship with each other and have been for like a decade, and they both have this like very strong connection to Helen. And so the book is following the 3 of them becoming closer and becoming, you know, a triad. Like, I don't think that's a spoiler because it's a romance book, even though it's like a darker romance. I wouldn't say it's dark though, but like it is darker, I think, than a lot of romance I typically read. But it was entertaining. I did enjoy it. I could definitely understand everyone's motivations. I just feel like the relationship aspect felt kind of jarring. It felt kind of like, almost like fated mates, except like it's obviously not. But I understood Helen's relationship with Patroclus a lot more because they were like childhood friends, and their relationship was, I think, softer and more like empathetic, whereas Helen had very much had like a almost like enemies to lovers thing with Achilles, but like, I don't know, the empathy and like compassion and everything felt kind of sudden with Helen and Achilles. And so like, I felt like that could have drawn out a little bit better. They're also like, look, I don't need an epilogue in a romance. But if the other books in the series have an epilogue, it's weird that this one didn't. And I'm pretty sure, I didn't look, but I'm pretty sure the first 2 books in the series had an epilogue. So it just felt like a little strange that this one didn't. And so it felt like it felt like it was resolved like very, very quickly. So while I did enjoy it, and it was very entertaining, and I will continue on with the series because I'm very curious, I gave it 3.5 stars because of those things. I felt like it could have been longer, and it would have been helpful. So like, there were parts that felt like a bit rushed, and that kind of took me out of it because I was like, whoa, this feels like it like I feel like I missed parts. So yeah, there's that. But I did enjoy it. And I think that's all I had to talk about there. So my next audiobook that I'm going to start is Sam the Sudden, which is a Woodhouse book. So I will check in again after I have started that. It's been a minute. So, I'm going to wrap up this audiobook vlog because I have to. I am going to be very honest. I did not listen to an audiobook this week until last night. And that's mainly because I knew that I needed to listen to an audiobook for this vlog, to end this vlog. Let me see. Why didn't I? Oh, Wednesday when I went to work, I was going to start Sam the Sudden, which is the Woodhouse book, but it wasn't showing up on my Audible after I got it, so I just was like, all right, whatever. Friday, I ended up not going into the office. I worked from home. So Sunday, I did start listening to Sam Sutton, but I discovered 10 minutes in I really couldn't stand the narrator. So there's that. But on the way, well, in between meetings, I looked up like my shortest books, and then I found, which one had an audiobook, and I actually have a like gay Christmas collection by Keira Andrews, and I had one novella left. And so I went ahead and listened to Where the Lovelight Gleams, which is about two co-stars on this like science fiction TV series. And the characters have, been building tension and have, we're going to enter into a relationship. And they filmed a kissing scene like right before they went on like holiday break. And the two actors who play those two characters are actually like best friends. Ryan is the main character. He is out. He's from Toronto, and he invites his co-star Carrie, who he thinks is straight, to come with him for a white Christmas because Carrie's family sucks. And so that happens, and at first there's a lot of like Ryan thinking that Carrie's gay, trying to like stuff his feelings down. There is an accidental kiss, and then there's Ryan's being like, oh, it was muscle memory from our characters kissing, and I don't look at you that way. And then Carrie gets very quiet, which is understandable because someone like straight up rejected you, and that sucks. And then they do end up talking. So it's a pretty short story. I think it's only like maybe 80-90 pages. And I did enjoy it. I liked their relationship. I liked their friendship. And obviously the very real concern of like, what if this messes our friendship up? And that's really important. But the whole like assuming someone's straight thing and then saying something that like is a rejection. Like even if someone's straight, like saying it like that is rude. There are other ways that could have been said. And then just like sort of for a book that was like 80-90 pages, there was a lot of back and forth. And like I don't need a third act breakup in a novella. So I found that kind of annoying. And then there was like a very dramatic moment that I'm like, okay, that didn't need to be there either. Like this is supposed to be like a Christmas novella. Like I don't need all that drama. I just need the like build of the relationship. So as much as I did like it, that sort of like kind of took me out of it because I was like, this is unnecessary. So I gave it 3.5 stars, and yeah, that was about it. I finished it like 30 minutes ago because I didn't quite finish it on my drive home last night, but I did. It was good. It was good. I'm glad I finished that collection, even though I finished it in March, which is a choice. But those are the audiobooks that I've been listening to. Obviously, my life is being taken over by reading Les Mis and trying to finish it as quickly as possible so I can get back onto my usual bullshit. But thank you for watching this incredibly random audiobook vlog. I doubt I'll do another, like, just audiobook vlog. But it was what I needed to do now. So, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Give me a like, leave a comment, subscribe, click the notification bell, and I will talk to you in the next vlog, which will be Les Mis. Bye.